This is our three-way diverter valve that pulls either from the skimmer or the main drains in the floor or from both. Generally, we want to keep it centered so that we are pulling from both. Sometimes we have to clean out the pump. This little basket in here. And when we do, we have to shut the system down. So if you're ever touching anything on this pool, shut it off. Everything is pressurized. You won't be able to get this lid off if it's still running. And it's also very dangerous if you try to. So just make sure the pool is off anytime you have to clean this. Now, I said this three-way diverter valve should always be in the middle. When we shut this off and I open the system, it allows air back into the system. That's going to cause the system to lose its prime. And so when we start it back up, it's gonna have to reprime. What we wanna do is when it's trying to pull from two spots, it's not going to prime as well. It's gonna take a lot longer to prime. So when we open the system and then close it again, we're gonna put this to either the skimmer or main drain. It really doesn't matter, either or is fine. And then we're gonna close the lid and we're gonna start it back up. Once it gets primed, fully primed and pressurized, we can then turn this back to the middle and it'll continue operation. So if we have to empty this lid, we're gonna shut it off. This particular pool is automated, so we can go into the panel and turn the pool off, and there'll be a separate video for that. If you don't have an automated pool, on a variable speed pump, there will always be on the back a little screen. And on that screen, there'll be a start and stop button. It's plain as day, you cannot miss it. You hit that button and it will shut the system down. Alternatively, when you're ready to start it back up, close everything up, you hit that start stop button, and all of these pumps are self-priming pumps, so they will go into their prime mode, which is high speed. It'll be super loud, and then they will drop down into the regular mode once everything gets primed up. So I need to clean this basket out. What do? I shut the pump off, whether it's from the back or whether it's from the automation panel. I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna open this up. You're gonna turn it counterclockwise, and it is sometimes a little stiff. This one's a little bit easier, but sometimes it's really hard. All you have to do is just hit this with the palm of your hand until it comes off. Some people might not have the strength or the pain tolerance to slam your hand against a hard plastic, and so what I would suggest is maybe getting a rubber mallet. Do not use a regular hammer because you'll crack the plastic, but a rubber mallet, and you can just tap that thing until it gets loose. Once it's loose, we can pull it off, pull this basket out, dump it out, tap it, make sure it's empty. Should look like something like that, and then put it back in. Now, all of these pumps are gonna have a hole in the front of the basket, and that hole has to line up with this plumbing here. If you try and put this in the basket without that hole facing forward, it won't seat properly, and you will not be able to put the lid on properly. So, if by chance you throw it back in there and you can't get the lid on, just make sure that that is seated properly, turn it to the front, and the pump will actually drop about an inch or so deeper than if you don't have it seated properly. Once it's seated properly, take this lid. Every pump will have an O-ring either here or under the lid. Make sure that O-ring is always there. Take this pump, put it back on, and just twist it shut. It just has to be shut enough so that it's tight, it feels tight. You don't have to crank it all the way until it stops moving, just until it's tight, and then we're ready to fire it back up. When it's time to turn it back on, let's turn this one way, the diverter valve to one way. Go to the back of the pump and hit start or stop, or start it on your automation panel, and the pump will do its thing and start back up.